What's up, it's Cinema Shogun here, and I just got done watching Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I am fresh out of the theater on my way home. Do not worry, there will be no spoilers in this video. I'm just going to make it quick, my quick first thoughts and reaction. And my first thoughts are, this movie hit me in all the feels. I laughed, I cried, I cringed, I cheered, and I enjoyed myself thoroughly throughout the entirety of the film. This movie made me feel like I was back in like 10 years ago or so. You know what I mean? Like, it reminded me that the MCU could be good. And that, you know, I am invested in these characters. I have lost so much love for the MCU over the past couple of years, but this movie was everything I wanted for sure. I will say that it's the best Marvel product since Endgame. I think it's better than, I would say it's better than a lot of the movies in the MCU. This would be in my top, I don't want to rank it yet. But I really enjoyed the movie. Like I said, best Marvel product easily since Endgame. The visuals were nice. There were some scenes where I was like, okay, I don't know about this, but the CGI in this movie definitely better than a lot of the most recent Marvel products that people have been complaining about. Everything about this movie for me felt like the MCU of old. I guess because this movie was kind of written and developed before a lot of this woke stuff started creeping its way into the MCU. But it really felt like I was watching an MCU product from 2015 or 16, not something from 2003. This movie pushed the envelope. Like, there were some cuss words dropped. There were some pretty graphic situations in this movie. And I say this has to be one of, if not the darkest MCU movie yet. The most adult MCU movie yet, which is weird because there was a lot of like fantastical things going on, which was one of my favorite parts of the movie. And a lot of the MCU these days, I always feel like I'm surrounded by a generic setting, if you will. Like, you know, you're in front of the green screens, nothing seems real. I'm not saying that there aren't green screen scenes in this movie, there are plenty. But the environment, it was so fun. It was sci-fi, it was weird, it was quirky, but it worked and it was fun. I really enjoyed the various environments and worlds and stuff they explored. I'm telling you, they could make 10 movies with this cast and crew, have them traveling all over the galaxy, and I would still be invested. And you know, the story in this movie, the plot was serviceable. There's definitely some plot holes, do not get me wrong. But this movie's strong points is just when you're sitting with these characters. And who would have known that, you know, I've been a Marvel fan all my life. The characters in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, I could tell you honestly, as someone who read comics, watched the cartoons, all of that, I didn't even know some of these characters existed when the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie came out. The fact that they have managed to make these characters some of the most likable characters in the MCU or in just recent film history, that is saying a lot. Because I am more invested in a CGI raccoon and a CGI tree than I am in the majority of characters in the MCU at this point. I can honestly say after this movie, I feel almost as connected with like Rocket Raccoon as I did Iron Man and Captain America throughout, you know, the course of the MCU. So the fact that they managed to make me care about these characters so much, and just when I stopped caring about the MCU, I watched this movie and it reminds me why I cared about these type of characters in the first place. And I gotta say, going forward, I don't want to reveal too much, no spoilers here, but the characters that are left, let's say that. We'll just say that. It leaves it, the movie closes up so beautifully that it leaves it at a point where you're like, okay, if this is it, if this is the end, the last we hear from these characters, then I'm okay with that. Like, I'm okay. If we never see these characters again, Guardians of the Galaxy managed to wrap up the story to a point where I'm comfortable with that. But it also leaves you wanting so much more. The chemistry within this team and cast, to end it here, it just doesn't seem right, but you don't want it to go forward, with someone else, because, James Gunn is the mastermind behind all of this. And, you can feel how you want to feel about James Gunn. I'm not here to say that I really like the guy, but there's no denying that he has put together something special in these 3 movies. And like I said, the ending, it wraps up so nicely that it can be the end. Or we can continue, but there's so much left. There's so much left there. And it's not like an incomplete movie, but the way it ends in a way where, it leaves you wanting more. It leaves you hoping for more. But it leaves you in a position to where if you don't get more, you're also okay with that. And I'm kind of wondering, battling within myself, like, do I really want more? Like, don't get me wrong. I want to see more of these characters. I want to see where the story goes from here. But I don't want them to cheapen or tarnish this trilogy. I honestly believe this is probably the best trilogy in the MCU, which is saying a lot because, listen, I had Captain America as the best trilogy in the MCU, and it's hard to dethrone that, but I don't know, I never really liked the first Captain America movie that much. And of course, Civil War was awesome. And of course, Winter Soldier was amazing. It really changed the game. But as far as a movie trilogy that I think is rewatchable, enjoyable, I would put on the Guardians of the Galaxy before any other MCU trilogy. And that's just me calling it what it is. It's a fun movie. It has so much rewatch value. Now, as far as this third one goes, it's fun, but it's so emotional. I was like, literally tears came out of my eyes. And that doesn't happen often, especially in movies, but this movie really got me at some points. Like, at least for me, there was never really a dull moment in this movie. I was entertained throughout. I will say that I believe diehard comic fans, you might not be happy with what they did with Adam Warlock. He almost felt like an afterthought in this movie. I felt like he was kind of just in there because James Gunn had set him up in previous movies and the MCU never went anywhere with it. This character should have been introduced before Infinity War and Endgame, but they didn't do that. So it feels like James Gunn kind of just had to shoehorn the character into this movie because he set him up and, he didn't just want that, plot line to go nowhere. So I would say he was kind of unneeded. I didn't dislike the character. What they did with him is definitely different. I'm kind of interested in seeing what happens in the future, but I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence when it comes to the Adam Warlock. I didn't dislike the way he looked as much as I thought I would, but definitely it leaves a lot more to be desired there. And I think a lot of diehard comic fans, they're going to have an issue with it. I can tell you that. What else? The High Evolutionary. The villain, the main villain of this movie. I thought he was cool. I thought he was intimidating. An interesting backstory. But I didn't like the way he got defeated. I kind of felt like they hyped him up and then it kind of went nowhere. This movie is very much just about the dynamic of the team. It's like everything else is an afterthought, and it's not even on purpose. It's just that you love sitting with these characters so much that you kind of forget, like, oh, wait, there's a plot? Oh, yeah, this is happening, that's happening. I just want to watch Star-Lord and Drax crack jokes on each other and stuff like that. So there's definitely points of this movie that I would say could be better, but I am totally pleased. I am totally pleased. And if I were to pick 2 negative things, I would say Adam Warlock, I'm kind of iffy on that. I know diehard Marvel fans, comic book readers might not be okay with that. And the villain, I mean, at the end of the day, I wanted to see more of a showdown at the end. And if you watch the movie, you know why I say showdown, or a face-off, if you will. I wanted to see more of a face-off. But other than that, I enjoyed the movie. It's the most fun I've had at a Marvel movie in a long time. Like I said, it hit me in every single emotion. I was happy, sad, laughed, cried, you name it. I would definitely recommend going to see this in theaters. And like I said, if you're an MCU fan, you're going to like this. And I think even casuals will like this movie. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you on the next video.